folks, welcome back to the Rocking C Homestead. This is Lance coming at you. Today we're going to talk about brooding hens. So what is a broody hen? So a broody hen is a hen that has gathered up some eggs, what they call a clutch of eggs, and is sitting on it wanting it to hatch, or wanting them to hatch I should say, and wanting some little baby chickens. So one of our chickens is starting to be broody, and actually it happened for the first time back in the middle of the summer time frame when it was really hot. And we didn't really feel like it was a good time for it because they're really secluded and they don't get out much. We just thought it'd be too hot. So we looked up to try to find ways to see how we can break the brood. And we found two really good techniques that we've seen kind of work. One was to put ice cubes or a frozen water bottle up underneath the chicken in the nesting box, and that usually breaks it. Or you can isolate them in a separate little pen or like a dog cage or something like that with no bedding, food and water, and eventually she'll kind of break the brood. Well, before we even got to even try any of that stuff, we were kind of presented with an unfortunate method of how to break a brood, and all I can say is one word: snake. Alright, so let me tell you about this snake. So I think it was July 1st. We're doing our nighttime routine, putting up the animals, making sure they're locked down, all that kind of stuff, checking on eggs. Came into this room right here, flipped on the light, kind of turned the corner, and I see this snake halfway into the nesting box where this bird was nesting. At that point, I kind of stopped, kind of freaked out a little bit, and ran over to the barn to get some tools to help me out. Let's just say I found a permanent way to remove it. That's all we'll say. So that worked for about a month and a half. It immediately stopped her from being broody. Didn't have to worry about it anymore. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we started seeing her get broody, and we're like, oh, okay, was it time? Our new chickens that just hatched, or I guess 3 months ago hatched. 4 out of those 7s were actually roosters instead of hens, so we want more hens. So we're like, hey, maybe it's time we decide for her to get, maybe we should let her do it. So we decided to let her do it. So we're in the coop, and we're standing right here by Peaches. This is our little broody hen. This is actually a turkin. I don't know if you can see her right now. She has her head down, but she has no feathers on her neck. And actually, 5 of our new little baby chickens were turkins, so she's one heck of an egg layer. So about 2 weeks ago, we gave her a dozen eggs. Unfortunately, that next morning I came out and several of them had rolled onto the ground, and she was laying on them trying to protect them. Of course, they were all busted up. Got her all cleaned up, put the rest of the eggs up underneath her, kind of put up this little shield here to protect anything from rolling out. And she's been a great mother ever since. We have about 8 eggs underneath her. We've candled them twice, and they all seem viable. So hopefully within the next week, we're going to have some baby chickens. Woo!
Sometime in the coming week, we'll be adding the birthing wing addition to the nesting boxes. We used the same structure when Piccolo was brooding and her eggs were about to hatch. This offers protection for the newly hatched chicks, but it also gives the mama hen some room to move around. We'll keep her and the new chicks in this configuration after the chicks hatch for a couple of weeks. Of course, with the structure, we have to be committed to checking in on her several times a day to make sure everything is well, that they have food and water, and to do some general room cleanup.
So we've raised chickens 2 different ways. One, we got 4 different little baby chicks, 2 or 3 days old, from my sister-in-law, Sarah. And then we also let Piccolo raise 7 from all the way hatching all the way to full grown. What we've noticed is that we think that the chickens that were raised by the mother actually learn quicker, matured faster. They just seem a little bit more hardier. Maybe it's just our perception, we don't know. But it seems like Piccolo, number one, was a great mother. She did a great job with them. And hopefully Peaches is going to be the same way. So far, so good for her. The good thing is, since we've recently hatched out chicks, we got most of the supplies we need. One of the things that you will need is some crumble chick starter. I prefer the medicated type. at least for the first, until this first bag is gone, then we'll go to the non-medicated. I think it just kind of helps the new birds out. That's what we've done before. It's worked, so I'm not going to change. To put that food in, you need a feeder at least, and depending on how many birds you have, depends on how big a feeder you need. If you have a bunch of meat chickens, you may need some of this. With us, I think we're going to go with this little one here. And you need some kind of watering device. You've seen the one that's already in Peach's nesting box with her. Since it's been so hot, we put it in there for her. And then there's one of these where they can come up here and just kind of click the little nipple thing here and it gets water out for them. So a lot of different options when it comes to those kind of things. But one of the things that will happen is her and the baby chicks will stay in the birthing structure probably for about a week or two until she's ready to move into here. And then once they're ready to move into here, we call this the maternity ward. Some may call it a brooder. We like maternity ward. And it's something we put together last time. Just kind of threw some scrap lumber together, and it worked out really well. This lifts up, the top does, and we can put water and feed. And there's a little structure in here that's kind of darker where they can kind of get in back into their feel like it's a little bit more of a nest for them. So they will stay in here probably until they're probably about 4 weeks, and then at that point they can jump out and maybe possibly even join the rest of the flock. So we'll see. All right, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks we're going to be able to give you some really good updates on some baby chickens. But next Tuesday, if you want to come along with us, we're going to actually do a video on how to tell if an egg is viable or not by candling. So please come along and check that out. Also, if you are liking what we're doing on the channel, please smash that like button, click the subscribe button, click on the notification bell, and leave some comments. We enjoy your comments and definitely enjoy them and appreciate them. But again, thanks for coming back to the Rocking C Homestead. This is Lance, and we'll catch you on the next one.